to the stream. I'm Dr. Aaron, if you haven't met me before. Today, we're talking about the Olympics. If anybody else is like me, I have been into the Olympics like crazy this year. I have tried to watch pretty much every sport that I possibly can. And of course, being a physical therapist, we're going to have to talk about some of the different injuries that they've had this year. Now, there have been a bunch of them. We're just going to highlight a few of them. If anybody has any other injuries you want us to talk about or you want me to talk about, Dr. Tom unfortunately is not able to be here today. Just let me know. We're going to start off, of course, with the U.S. Why else? Because I'm American. And in particular, athlete Lindsey Vonn. So she has been through a lot. First of all, Lindsey Vonn actually had to get a total knee replacement in 2024, which is pretty crazy. Normally with a total knee replacement, that is something that is going to take a lot of time to recover. Oh, wait, sorry, my bad, not 2024, 2019. That's something that's going to take a lot of time to recover. So the fact that she got into the Olympics again after a total knee replacement is pretty dang amazing. That is a lot of strength, mobility, balance, coordination, really everything you could possibly think of that she has to, I would guess, maintain and improve after an injury like that. So on top of that, we have to talk about sort of the recovery process. What just happened recently was Lindsey Vonn, in a skiing accident, broke her tibia. It was a very complex fracture. Last I heard, there were 4 or 5 surgeries that she had to do that helped put it together. Now, Dr. Tom and I went into a lot of depth in this topic in our our next video. I think it's coming out either today or tomorrow. And you can hear a little bit more about it if you look into that. But what we do know is this injury was pretty devastating when it comes down to it. This is something that is going to take a long time for her to recover. It's going to start small with just being able to put weight on her leg. Over the first few weeks, she wasn't able to put any weight on her leg, and it's going to take time for her to put weight on her leg. When you have a fracture of your tibia is something that bears weight. So if it bears weight and there's a fracture, you're not going to be able to stand up and do things like that or put weight on it. Now, you can stand on one foot, and Lindsey's strong enough that she would be able to stand on one foot and balance like that. But you have to be very careful. If you lose your balance, you're going to have to land on something. We don't want it to be that foot that has all those fractured bones. So over time, over these surgeries, she's going to get more and more stability. The bones will heal. And it's going to be a process. What I'm going to pull up next, actually, is the stages of recovery. Now, you might not be able to see this on the phone, so if you're on the phone, switch over to the live stream. But the stages of recovery include first, protect, and range of motion. The protection phase is what we're talking about with Lindsey Vonn not being able to put weight on her leg. That is called non-weight bearing. If you're non-weight bearing, that's not a lot of fun. After non-weight bearing, you also have to do the range of motion that you can. If you can't move a joint in particular, then you have to move everything around it. So Lindsey Vonn broke her tibia. Because she broke her tibia, she has to do range of motion of her ankle if she can. Depends on the extent of the tibia injury. The tibia goes all the way from the knee to the ankle. So there's a good chance that she might not be able to do range of motion of the ankle or the knee. A big one, though, is the hip. She has to make sure her hip is moving. If her hip is not moving, it's just going to get more and more stiff. The more stiff her hip is, the harder it's going to be when she actually has to start standing, walking. She'll probably go from non-weight bearing to probably a partial weight bearing and then go from there. And you want your body to be ready when you're ready for that point, when it is ready for that point. And I'm not talking about just the bone, I'm talking about everything around it. So you have to work on that hip. You have to work on your back, your arms, everything in your whole body. You don't want your core and your arms to be super weak because you have a fracture in your leg. Next, we think about early stability and strength. Now our bones are starting to heal a little bit. Let's move this thing over a little bit. It's bothering me. Yeah. Now our bones are starting to heal a little bit. We start to think about, I need to start building some strength. My range of motion's pretty good. My knee extension's good. My knee flexion's good. I need to get stronger in those ranges of motion. So we start doing some light activity. A lot of this, believe it or not, is just learning how to walk again. Lindsey Vonn won't be able to put weight on her leg for a long time. A lot of these athletes, actually, that we're going to talk about later on, are the same way. You're not going to be able to put weight on that leg that was injured for a long time. So you just have to start with walking, little mini squats, maybe a little step up, maybe even just some kicks while you're sitting. And you might be able to do that in the earlier stages with the protect and range of motion, but it's just different for everybody. After we started to get some of that strength, we moved to hypertrophy and impact prep. So you start to get better at some of those active or stronger motions, those mini squats, maybe the mini lunges, things like that. Now we start to get into the real meat and potatoes. Now we start doing real squats. We start doing real deep lunges. We start doing things like that that get that body ready for more in-depth, more difficult strengthening exercises. Our goal for this is to start getting ready to run. We might not run in this phase, but we want the body to start to think, okay, you know what? I can make it. I can do this. We'll be okay. This is another one. It takes a long time. But like all of these stages I didn't even mention as we were going through, they're going to take different durations. Some of them are going to take longer than others, but you never really know how long they're going to take. It depends on the person, how they recover. Number 4, we've gotten pretty good at squats, lunges. We might have even started to run by the end of 3. 4, power and agility, we start to run. We start to do some change of direction things. We start to do some jumps. We're not ready for sports just yet, but we're ready to do stuff like that. We're ready to start doing some more dynamic movements. Maybe we'll do some side shuffle. Maybe we'll do some running. Maybe we'll do like a 5-10-5, something like that. If we're thinking of a skier or come on, brain, or a speed skater or a snowboarder or something like that, even a hockey player, we have to think small first. We have to think of the motions that they have to do. Like a speed skater, although it's very straight, they also have a lot of side to side. Same thing with skiing. So we want to work on those side to side stability, maybe start to mimic some of the motions that you would do in a sport, but we're not going to do the sport just yet. We're going to build that power. Power basically means moving fast. So we have the strength, we have the stability from the earlier stages. Now we have to start getting it moving fast so we're ready to get back into sports. And then finally, after all of this, we got to return to sport. Now, that is when we just do the sport. We start doing things like you hear in basketball injuries sometimes. They start doing 3-on-3s, 4-on-4s, 5-on-5s. Things like that are what you have to do after a lot of these different injuries. So, how long does it take? It's different for everyone. Like we were saying before, could be 10 minutes, could be 20 minutes. No, what am I saying? It's not going to be minutes. It's going to be, could be 12 months, could be 15 months, could be less, could be more. I mean, something like Lindsey Vonn's injury is going to take a long time to heal from. That bone had a lot of fractures. So there were a lot of surgeries, and that is a lot of recovery. And not just the bones, the muscles, the nerves, the ligaments. Everything has to heal after something like that. So for her, I would expect the process to be longer. Now, she is a very in-shape person, so the process might not be as long, but it's going to take time for her to get back, even just to normal walking and doing things like that. We didn't even talk about some of the other people we wanted to talk about. Now, let's go back over to here, and let me put up those other athletes here. Wait 1 second. If you are watching from your phone, just know that the horizontal view on the computer is a little bit better because I'm a moron and I don't know how to make it better than that. But here we go. So 4 athletes. We talked about Lindsey Vonn already. Next, we're going to talk about Kevin Fiala. I hope I didn't massacre that name, but Kevin Fiala is a hockey player. I do not remember where he is from, but he also had some lower leg fractures. Now, This is actually very similar to Lindsey Vonn. Both are going to be out for the season. Both, unfortunately, will not be returning to the Olympics. Um, he's going to have to go through the same process. Now, I'm not sure what type of surgery he's going to have to go through. That wasn't listed anywhere. But I imagine if it's not surgery, it's going to be maybe non-weight bearing for a little bit. Non-weight bearing, then you build up to putting some weight on it, maybe a partial weight bearing, and then eventually you get back to normal weight bearing, walking, running, sport. Sort of like we mentioned before, it's going to be a process. Next, we have Giada D'Antonio. Now, Giada D'Antonio is an alpine skier. She ruptured her ACL. So Lindsey Vonn actually did the same thing. Lindsey Vonn also ruptured her ACL a week before she broke her tibia. That's a controversy for another day. If you're watching and you're interested in something like that, we actually have a video coming out on Lindsey Vonn. Some of the stuff is going to be similar to what I talked about today. A lot of it is going to be just more in depth, really talking about the specifics of her recovery or rehab and things like that. So, Giada D'Antonio just tore her ACL, which is also a pretty devastating injury. That's something you're going to be out of sports for a long time. I mean, thankfully, you don't have to wait for a bone to heal, but you have to repair that ACL. You have to find stability in that ACL or in that knee that you might not have had before. A lot of this is going to be keep everything strong as you're recovering. You're probably going to be able to weight bear on that leg, but you might have to wear a brace or something like that. You're going to want to improve range of motion a lot. Working on increasing range of motion is going to be the beginning stages of things. Once you're starting to improve your range of motion, you start working on strength, maybe a little bit of balance. There's normal walking again after you have a big devastating injury like that. Your walking is not going to be normal anymore. Your walking is going to be a little wonky. So we want to try something a little bit different. Then we move on to what do we call it? A little bit more power, a little bit more strength, where we're going to start working on deeper squats, lunges, things like that. Now, I sort of said this stuff before, but it's actually a very similar process to the tibia. I would just say the biggest difference to me is you're not going to have as long of a non-weight bearing / partial weight bearing stage. And ACL is going to really focus a lot on strengthening the quads or the thigh muscles. Now, you're still going to have to strengthen the quads when you break a tibia, but you're going to have to strengthen a lot of other stuff too. You're going to have to strengthen your gastroc. You're going to have to strengthen your tibialis anterior. Now, what are those? Those are the muscles that move your foot. They move your knee a little bit, but they mostly move your foot, your toes, things like that. There's a lot of little muscles in your shin and your calf that are working to move everything in your foot. So those are going to be very weak after a fracture of the tibia. So with the ACL, you're going to really focus on that quad, get that thing as strong as possible, get that knee range of motion as good as you can. And then a big thing with alpine skiing, you got to work on that side-to-side stability. Be able to control it. Those sharp turns at high speeds, 50, 60, 70 miles per hour, if your leg isn't super strong, you're going to have a lot more likelihood to hurt yourself. And that is part of the controversy with Lindsey Vonn too, which I will say, go watch our video and you'll learn more about that. And now, last but not least, Federica Brignoni. I hope I pronounced that right, Federica. I am not the best, but she also had a tibial fracture and a knee dislocation. Now, the crazy thing with her is she actually won gold. She was able to push through some of this injury and compete. And now that's why we say not every injury is created equal. Now, that might sound like an insurmountable thing to get through, but the truth is it's possible. It is possible. It's just not going to be an easy thing to do. Some of it is pain tolerance, and some of it is where is the fracture, how big is the fracture. If it's a small fracture, it's going to be a lot more likely than something like Lindsey Vonn or even Kevin Fiala had. Those fractures are going to be pretty devastating, whereas Federica Brignoni's like either it was devastating and she is just a freak of nature, or maybe it wasn't as bad of a fracture, so she was able to push through it a little bit more. It's all just a very interesting stuff. If If you have any questions about this stuff, put it in the comments. I know I talked a lot, I said a lot, it went by very quick, but that's pretty much it. I was going to fire through. If we had any comments, I would go through them, but looks like we have no comments. We got nothing to worry about. So, everybody, have a nice day. Any questions, let me know in the comments, and have a good one.